there, or should that be hola? It's Simon from simonwoods.com here in Spanish mode today, in Tempranillo mode, and almost entirely in Rioja mode. I've got 5 Riojas, and I'm finishing off with 2 other, well, I've got a Ribera del Duero and a Toro. 2 Crianthas, this is from Rioja, 2 Crianthas, 2 Reservas and a Gran Reserva. I wasn't quite sure where, because I've got 1 Criantha from Cune and a Reserva from them and a Gran Reserva. I didn't know whether to do them all together or to do the Crianthas together and the Reservas together. I'm sure I'll have got it wrong. Anyway, let's kick off with La de Paulo Criantha, 2007. It says Tempranillo, 100% maybe, probably. Well, it's got a lovely, soft, rounded, wild strawberry character to it. If I've got a problem with it, there's almost this slightly fudge-like, sweet vanilla American oak edge. It's one of those characters I notice in too many wines these days. Please, producers, if you're watching, I don't like it. I'm sure I'm not the only one who doesn't like it. It may sort of, it's a bit bimbo-like for me. But the rest of the wine smells okay. Okay, what I call fair enough wine. There's a slight dustiness, slight staleness to it, which I'm not quite sure about, and maybe there's not enough fruit there for it to really carry off the that bit of oak aging. What the finish I'm left with is this slightly stale fruit, and yeah, a bit like doggy, not hamster cage, bit of the hamster cage edge there, but then that slightly sweet vanilla with this herby edge. Okay, rather than great. I don't want to go too much more into that one. First one from Cune, Screwcap Rioja, 2007, Criantha from them. And doesn't say Tempranillo on this one, but I imagine it'll be like 80-odd% Tempranillo, and the usual suspects, Graciano, Mazuelo, making up the balance. It's weird. This is not as in-your-face oaky. And but it feels like the fruit behind has a little more personality. It's got it's not trying to bounce out of its glass to get you. It's trying to seduce you slightly. A bit of wild strawberry again, but a touch of raisin, touch of fig, and this Rioja spice. A bit of, and the vanilla here you're getting. It feels like a much fresher, purer vanilla than the slightly fudge-like vanilla of the first one. Yeah. It's a lighter style, but it's a more confident style. It feels just more relaxed into its bottle rather than it's trying to impress you. Juiciness of fruit, but fresh finish. You've got this quite grippy acidity that comes through, cleans your mouth out. Certainly not sit down and drink by itself type of wine. Bring me some roast lamb. I'll polish off quite a bit of that. Let's see what the next one's like. We are on Berberana. We're going up to Reserva now. So this is Berberana Reserva Classico 1877. 1877 vintage? I don't think so. No, this is 2005 vintage. No, I'll flash up some more information if I find something about it. Give it a whirl. Now there's a soft. The first thing I got was a slightly. Excuse me, do you ever remember having bought like a bird's eye Victoria sponge, and it had a slightly artificial strawberry jam in? Get that sort of character, that mixed with, yeah, it's a bit of sponge and cake with raspberry jam, raspberry strawberry jam, but then a more wild herby edge comes through. Yeah, I think this is one of those that's going to reward a bit of swirling. Well, that's got a nice fleshy edge to it. Not an immensely classy wine. I noticed maybe the acidity poking out just a little bit too much. Slight heat on the finish, but it feels for me like a wine that I want to come back to in an hour or so. Feels like it's a bit tight. It's been closed in its bottle. Needs to express itself just a little bit more. I don't think it's going to be immensely classy, but it's a step up from the La de Paula. Let's see whether we can improve on nice with the Cune Reserva, 2006 now. So. Step up of £2 from the basic Criantha. Now this has got a more wild, feral edge compared with the Berberana, and it's looking good right now. It's got blueberry, blackberry, yes, some of that red berry fruit, but it's got a darker, wilder edge too. Yeah, berries, herbs, blackcurrant. Touch of orange peel, almost like I get an orange peel character in Syrah sometimes, and I get a touch of that there. It's giving a freshness, giving a bounce and a brightness to it. Again, like the Berberana, this feels like a wine that really needs to come out of its shell and emerge over time, but more concentrated, and yeah, it's got this extra layer of concentration, warmth, and in terms of oak, I mean, yeah, this has been in oak for a bit longer than the Criantha, but it's giving like a framework to the wine rather than out and out big oaky, smoky vanilla flavours. There's a touch of that, but I think they've got them nicely in balance there. Let's see how they've got on with the Gran Reserva, which is considerably older. Cuvée Imperial, and this is 1999. So big step up in age, big step up in quality, big step up in price. Certainly, it's about 25 quid. This. Well, it's got that lovely, gentle strawberry warmth to it. I mean, this is what, when people think of textbook Rioja, it's got this smell. It's got rounded, plush fruit, but it's also got, yeah, this sexy sheen, polish of, right, really lovely vanilla, spice, bit of tobacco, maybe a touch of coffee there. Don't get too much of the orange peel character, but it feels like it's going to be a lovely, warm, welcoming wine. Yeah, that's a class act, that. What I like about it, sometimes Gran Reserva needs to have been in an oak barrel for at least 2 years, and sometimes that can kill off bad fruit, and then you've got to wait for another few years before you release it. It feels like it's been in oak probably a bit longer than that, but it feels like the fruit also in the first place was really good quality, and it's survived it. Nay, it has thrived in such an atmosphere, and it's emerged as this, yeah, more polished, rounded individual. Still a lot to say for itself, but not trying to shout it out. It's just confident to be there, and you let its presence speak for itself. Very tasty wine. It's interesting aging stuff like this, because you think because it's been in a barrel for so long, it's not going to go on and on, but it does. I wouldn't be surprised wine like that still going strong 10, 15 years from now. Nice, nice. Right, that's it for Rioja. We are now in Ribera del Duero. Damana, 5 meses. 5 meses, I presume that means it's had 5 months in barrel. 2008 vintage. Ribera del Duero is warmer. It's weird. It's one of those places. It's warmer during the day and cooler at night than Rioja. So you tend to get bigger, bolder flavours. But because it's cooler at night, the grapes keep their freshness in there. That's the theory. Sometimes they overdo it and it gets a bit raisiny. But this one smells nice. This one smells like it's got that confident, big plum berry. Again, edge of orange peel, edge of Tempranillo. Now I like the fruit flavours there, because there's a richness and there's confidence to them. If I have a problem, it's this thing about barrel aging. 5 months. For me, that's almost the stage at which the wine has taken the maximum amount of flavour out of the barrel without the maximum amount of élevage character, the softening character that aging in a barrel gives. So it's got the flavour compound, some of those slightly raw, woody tannins. But and that's when the video gremlin struck. I wasn't doing it on my normal video camera because my normal video camera had been left outside by my son filming something called a Nerf war. You don't want to know about it. Anyway, I lost the end of the film. So, what I was saying about that, the idea of leaving something in a barrel for too short a time, what you're left with is the wine in its adolescent version. It hasn't had that rounding out effect of élevage. What I would have done, what I'd have preferred them to see them do with that wine, is use an older barrel, maybe one that's been used once or twice before, and left it in there for longer, 9 months, a year. You won't get an oakier wine, you'll get a softer, a softer, more grown-up wine. This one's just a bit too gawky. Final wine I got, you'll see I had 7 on the table in front of me, was a Toro. And now Toro usually lives up to its name. It's this big bullish wine. This one though was made by the Lurton family, Jacques Lurton. Sorry, not Jacques Lurton. Jacques Lurton used to work with his brother Francois, but now they've gone their separate ways. And so Francois Lurton makes this wine. And well, there's two. I think there's 2 or 3 wines. There's certainly top one's called Campo Elíseo, which is the Spanish version of Champs-Élysées, and this was the next tier down. So made in with help from Michel Rolland. So as you would expect, there is this plushness, there's this polish, there's ripeness, and yeah, there's certainly no shortage of oak. It wasn't an oaky wine, and I think they'd certainly done the élevage better than they had in in the Ribera del Duero wine. But if I had a problem with it, it was almost like it had been in makeup for that bit too long. Really rich, juicy fruit, some of this orange peel character, something really quite herby and savoury, almost like a Mediterranean feel, even though Toro is not exactly a Mediterranean type of place. But yes, there's this warmth and ripeness, warmer and riper certainly than the Rioja flavours, and then given this oaky sheen, but maybe just a little bit too much of an oaky sheen. Like one of those people who's got a perma-tan and unbuttons his shirt just that little bit too much. Even so, it was a reasonably tasty wine. But it was the Rioja Gran Reserva that I ended up drinking that night with much pleasure. See you soon.